Hi, everybody. I'm Richard Roberts. I'm the resident dramaturg at the Indiana Repertory Theater, and I'm happy to welcome you to this backstage chat with the cast of Steel Magnolias by Robert Harling. These wonderful women are actually in Cincinnati right now, finishing their run at the Cincinnati Playhouse in the Park, and they're going to be coming to join us at the IRT, and we couldn't be more excited. Let me introduce everyone. Kate Abertzez is playing Shelby. Gina Daniels is playing Clary. Annie Fitzpatrick is playing Malin. Naomi Jacobson is playing Weezer. And Brittany Onikalou is playing Annelle. Welcome, Magnolias, one and all.
Thank you.
I want to start, let's just address the elephant in the room. Everybody knows this is a big, famous movie. And here you are doing the parts yourselves. How did you deal with the movie, or how did you ignore the movie?
I liked to tell everyone that I was going off to play Julia Roberts. So that's how I dealt with it. That's probably the extent of how I dealt with it. And I watched her scene where she has a diabetic essentially like a seizure, because it's really hard to find. It was really hard for me to find footage of people having actual diabetic seizures. They don't record that much, but yeah, that was about it in terms of the movie for me.
I just feel like every person is unique. You know, we see so many Hamlets, we see tons of Juliets. It's kind of wasted energy to try to compare yourself or worry about what somebody else did with the role. You're always going to bring your natural personality to it. So I didn't spend any time worrying about being Shirley MacLaine.
Yeah, I kind of never thought about it until someone asked that question, because it was like, oh yeah, I guess it is Sally Field. But it's this group of women that are totally unlike every other cast that's done it. And you don't know, you know, we're all affected by what we're hearing and seeing in the room. So of course we were going to be different because of the relationships that we forged as actors, and that really informed our relationship as characters. So it wasn't something I think we even, other than at talkbacks when people ask this question, it wasn't something we talked about much.
Well, I had to ask the question.
I'll say, who are you in the play? And then you just give them who it was in the movie, because
Olympia Dukakis. Okay, yay.
Once we were in rehearsal too, like I forgot all about that movie and who, you know, like once we started everyone speaking in their roles, I was like, oh, none of that is anything going to be related to our production. So it's yes.
And I know this is heresy because I know it is a beloved film and I really liked it. Please don't send me hate mail. But I have to say, what I remember of it, the men are in it. And I'm so much happier that it's just us lady, you know, it's hard to compare the two because it's apples and oranges. That the movie's got the dudes in it and we happily don't. So
The great thing about the movie is that it makes more people want to see the play.
Yeah.
And the play is its own unique thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of the play was written for an all-white cast. And then they made the movie with all white people, and then there was a TV version with all black people. And now I know of several productions around the country that have had a case of a cast of mixed ethnicity as we were doing it. How does this casting affect your role in the play and how your character deals with the other characters in the play?
Oh, I'll take it.
Why?
What? I mean, it's so funny that Naomi just said, you know, you've seen, you know, dozens of Hamlets, you've seen dozens of Juliets, right? Shakespeare wrote that play for all men. So I kind of don't think about like, oh, who was this written for? I think we approached it sort of, there's some philosophical and some practical things, and I'm kind of more interested in the practical stuff. It's not about how we relate to each other, because that's just six women in a beauty shop. But we talked about what does it mean I mean, it's a beauty shop, it's hair, and Black lady hair is different. And Laura was fantastic. I mean, we had great conversations about not put, I'm in a wig prep right now, like not putting me in some like silky smooth, doesn't resemble my own hair wig. That Truby's Beauty Shop is a shop that this Miss Clary would actually go to. And so, and one of the like great things about the script itself is it specifies that Malin is getting her hair washed and set, and Weezer gets her hair washed. But for Clary, it just says gets her hair done. So we had this like great breadth of, okay, so what does that mean for us? And so I'm getting, well, I don't want to spoil it, but I'm not going to say, come see the play. But it's very specific to who I am in that beauty shop. And I think it was very important that we weren't trying to make it be something that it's not, but also make sure that we're playing the play. So
we also, Gina, you and I also talked about a little bit about how Weezer and Clary are best friends. How did that, we talked about our history in terms of that time in that place, who are our families so that friendship was able to thrive. That was just a great conversation that we could have.
I have to say, just I'm half Chinese, and I have not seen many Chinese women in this play, definitely not in the movie, but there was nothing, we didn't need to change anything. But I think just for myself, like as I was kind of thinking of Annelle's kind of little backstory, and I think I just made up some things that helped put me more in that world and into her mindset and her, where she's coming from, her family, just kind of, it was more just like little things for myself to help me kind of justify like where she's coming from and help me connect more with the piece, honestly.
The play is a great example of something that is very specific and yet completely universal, which is, I think, the goal for all great art.
Yeah.
The play's a comedy, but it deals with a lot of really serious issues. How did you incorporate both of these aspects into your performances?
Well, Romeo and Juliet is hilarious until people die. So I feel like that's why it's so tragic. Is I always think that laughter opens us up, it's a release of tension, and it kind of lets you drive the rapier home, so to speak, of when things do get serious.
It's a comedy until it's not.
Yeah, I mean, kind of, and even then, it goes. I think a level below the comedy, to just like trying to. I mean, it's the resilience of these women, and that's what keeps them joking and laughing and breathing and releasing that tension. So I think the reason that it does, that those serious subjects are so profound is because we've spent basically 75% of the play cracking up. Yeah.
And it is their coping mechanism that they can come in and laugh about, problems in their marriage and concerns about their children, and even, ultimately, whether processing grief, that grief and laughter are just like a second away from each other in this group with this supportive, dear friends who love each other. And it's the release and that kind of trust that you can kind of be yourself and crack wise and be a smart ass, sorry to use the language, but I'm quoting the play, that that's okay in this room, and that it's there, they can kind of cut loose in this in women's territory in the beauty shop. And it's just a kind of a joy to play in there. And also, again, because it's so supportive, to kind of go to the dark places as well.
Just to build on that super fast, that's such a good point about like humor means you get each other, because you can tell a joke and someone's not going to laugh, and then you just know like that's not your people. And I feel like we as a cast have also really learned, we were laughing all throughout rehearsal, whether we were on stage or off as well. And I think that trust is that trust that you're going to put something out there that someone's going to get it and laugh at is a key part of this, what makes this story so profound as well.
I think the play functions like life does. As Truby says, laughter through tears is my favorite emotion. It's absolutely how life is all the time, and that's how this play is. You're near the end of your Cincinnati run. What has surprised you about audience reactions to the show?
I'll say something that I've loved and learned through the audience, which is that people really appreciate the irreverence in the play. These women are kind and caring, but they're also bawdy and feisty and mean without apology. They are not PC. And the audience, like at first you can feel them kind of going, oh, can we laugh at that? And then they're howling with laughter at just the irreverence. And I love that. And I'm really happy the audience has responded to that.
Mm-hmm. I'd say I'm from Cincinnati, so it's been interesting. Like a lot of my old friends have come and old teachers, and like my dad came, and this isn't really the type of play. He doesn't really go to plays, first of all, and this isn't really the play that he would maybe necessarily go to on his own. And he loved it, and like it's just like it's really connecting with everyone. And like one of my good friends came and was gonna bring her mom, and her mom couldn't come, and her boyfriend was like, can I go? Like he like volunteered to come, and he came and loved it. Like he wants to come again. Like it's just like it really has something for everyone, every age. Like even if you're not from the 80s, it just really hits everyone in different ways, which is amazing.
Yeah. We had one of our first previews was basically an all-female audience, and they laughed and they were great. But we were all the next night when we had another preview where it was more mixed. We were thinking, oh, I wonder what will happen. If anything, they laughed more. I think maybe it's slightly different things, got bigger laughs at different places, but it was still really lovely to see that kind of universal response. And I will also say that we've done a lot of talkbacks, and the number of people who have shared with us about losing someone in their life and talking about how they were moved and touched by Robert's honesty. And because I think that's why, another reason why it's so universal, the humor, that the friendship, but he really writes very beautifully and eloquently and captures all the mixed emotions you're feeling at those moments of loss, and how crazy the ride is, and how you need your buddies, and how people say stupid things. They don't know what to say to help each other, but that everyone rallies, and that people were really very forthcoming. And like when my husband died, when I lost my wife, it was very moving that how people wanted, even these are events years in the past, that they felt heard and honored, and it was familiar, and it feels like a real gift to be able to share that with all these different audiences.
Mm-hmm.
What some people in the audience might not know is that Robert Harling, who wrote the play, wrote it inspired by his own sister and his own mother. So the play comes from a place of real truth and real heart, and you can totally tell that when you listen to it. Even the most outrageous, humorous things said in the darkest moments, sometimes that's what we need to do to get through something.
Yeah.
There are not. Someone mentioned this earlier in regards to the movie. Gina mentioned this earlier. There are not many plays with an all-woman cast. Plus, you had a woman as a director, Laura Gordon, the wonderful Laura Gordon. How has this been a different experience for you all?
We loved it.
We loved it.
We loved Fest from day one.
It's funny that both. This is my second play back from the pandemic shutdown, and the first one was an all-female cast too. So I'm not going to know what to do when I'm back in a room that has men in it.
Just rule it, rule over it.
I could tell filthier jokes.
It's a totally Weezer thing to say.
A good portion of us have spent time doing Shakespeare, which there are scant roles for females in, for example, The Tempest. There's technically one female role, which is thanks, Guy. But you know, so I think a lot of us have had experience of being the only or one of few females in the room. And we've had discussions about what kind of armor that has taken at times during, you know, certain different times before we had Me Too. Some truly impressive, acts performed by men who thought there would be no repercussions. And there's just like, I don't want to, I love men. Many of us have male partners. I have one and he's my favorite, but there is something to be said in a room full of women. The collaboration, the ease with which you feel a helping hand constantly. How can I make this easier for you? Was the feeling I constantly got from my compatriots. Mm-hmm. So that was something.
I have to say, some people might think, maybe this isn't an old mindset, but some people might think, oh, you put a group of women together in a room and they're going to compete with each other and they're going to fight and they're going to, and that just is usually not the case. This was certainly not the case for our production. And if anything, is the most supportive, and as it should be. And as I think we all lead with, and that's, I don't know, that competitiveness is not in a lot of circles that I'm in or that I've felt. So.
And in many ways, we create our own circles. So the energy we put out is the energy we get back.
No, I just meant, well, there was really great energy flowing around. And I have to say, from day one of the read, it has just been an honor and a delight to watch all these wonderful women and all their processes of working and the work that goes on, you know, backstage and the moments before you walk on stage and supporting each other as we're struggling to figure out the characters. It was wonderful and supportive and fun and filled with laughter. And like I said, a love fest.
It's a great way to work.
Yeah.
I have one last question. It's kind of a cheesy question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. This is a very quotable script. What's your favorite line? And it doesn't have to be your own.
Well, I'll leapfrog on what you said, Richard, because you said something about, I don't know how you said it, but you said we create the energy we put out is the energy we get back. And so one of my favorite lines is when Shelby's about to look in the mirror after she's changing her look and she's a little nervous about what she's going to see and maybe she won't recognize what she sees. And Trudy says, I don't remember the first part of it. Well, you better do it. Our world is full of reflective surfaces. I love that line because I think that's just true in every way. The world is always reflecting you back to yourself. And I just think it's a really profound, wonderful line.
Right. Trudy has all the good ones. She also, I love that time marches on and one day you notice it's marching right across your face. So true.
Love that one.
Like, oh my God, I'm my grandmother. When did that happen?
There's so many. Kate says, you know, things they're sacred. So it's almost like if you say it, I don't want to spoil it. Like I have so many favorites.
I like when Truby says she's talking about a man who's feeling confused and she says, he doesn't know whether to, what is it? He doesn't know whether to scratch his watch or wind his butt. I think that's great. And the way
got all the best lines.
Yeah, she says
Trudy's lines because she's not here.
So she'll really be here with us in spirit.
It's good writing. It's really good writing.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
It's good to live in.
Well,
what's one of your favorite lines, Richard?
Oh, so many. You know, I had a group of friends years ago, and we would get together and watch this movie on a regular basis. And to the point where I could pretty much recite the lines along.
Some of the audience does.
Oh,
that's
Shelby.
the joy of the experience. I mean, you know, the classic, there's no such thing as natural beauty.
Truby. It's a Truby.
Another Truby.
That's another Truby. I don't know. I just love about every line in the movie. In the play. See, I did it myself.
That's all right.
That's okay. Most of the lines in the movie are from the play. So
Yeah.
thank you all so much for joining us today. It's been a great delight talking to you, and we're all in Indianapolis looking so forward to seeing you on the IRT stage. Steel Magnolias coming to the IRT. Thank you very much. Lovely Steel Magnolias yourselves.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.